Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me paint a picture for you. A woman walking alone. No friends to lean on, no circle to rally around her. Some might look at her and see loneliness. I see power. I see resilience. I see a story being written in silence. You see, life doesn't measure your worth by the number of people around you. It measures your strength by the person you are when no one's looking. Solitude is a season, not a sentence. When we find ourselves alone, we often feel like we've been handed a punishment, as if we've somehow been abandoned or rejected, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Solitude is not a life sentence. It's simply a season that can be incredibly valuable if we choose to see it for what it truly is. Just like winter, which can seem cold and isolating, solitude has its own purpose. It's in these quiet moments that we can hear the deepest parts of ourselves. The parts that are usually drowned out by the noise of others, the expectations of society, and the distractions of life. Think about it. When the world is loud and chaotic, it's hard to focus on what truly matters. But in solitude, there's clarity. It's a time to reflect, to grow, and to realign yourself with your true purpose. It's when you step away from the crowd and take a step back from the noise that you can finally hear your own voice, your own desires, your own needs. You get to rediscover who you are, what you're passionate about, and what you need to do to get to where you want to be. Solitude gives you the time to work on yourself, to learn, to heal, and to evolve. We have this misconception that being alone means something's wrong, but think about nature. When the trees shed their leaves in autumn, they aren't dying, they're preparing for a new season. They need the stillness of winter to gather strength and energy so they can bloom again when the time is right. And so it is with us. Solitude is not a punishment, it's a preparation. It's not something to be feared, but something to embrace. When you're alone, there's no one else's agenda, no one else's voice telling you what to do. You're not distracted by the opinions of others or pressured to follow a path that isn't yours. You have the freedom to choose your next step, to decide what you want your future to look like. It's in these moments of solitude that we can break free from the noise and really figure out who we want to be and how we want to live our lives. So the next time you find yourself in solitude, don't view it as an empty space. Don't think of it as a sentence you're serving. See it for what it really is, a season of growth, of renewal, and of self-discovery. It's not a place where life stops. It's where life begins again, stronger, wiser, and more aligned with who you were always meant to be. 2/2. A woman with no friends is a woman with her own back. It's easy to think that being without friends makes someone weak, isolated, or lacking something, but in reality, it can be the opposite. A woman who stands alone learns to rely on her own strength. She becomes the kind of person who doesn't wait for someone else to save her, lift her, or validate her. She knows how to pick herself up when she falls, dust herself off, and keep moving forward. And you see, when you don't have a crowd around you, you're forced to become your own support system. And while that might sound daunting at first, it's one of the greatest skills a person can have. Because when you've got your own back, you're unshakable. You're not dependent on someone else's approval to feel worthy. You're not waiting for a friend to cheer you on or reassure you. You learn to give yourself that encouragement. You learn to trust your own instincts, to believe in your own decisions, and to draw strength from within. It's not about bitterness or shutting people out. It's about knowing that you don't need anyone else to complete you. You've learned that your worth isn't tied to how many people surround you. It's tied to how much you believe in yourself. When you face challenges without anyone to lean on, you realize how capable you truly are. And that kind of self-reliance builds a quiet confidence that no one can take away from you. A woman with her own back doesn't crumble when life gets tough. She doesn't give up when people leave or disappoint her. She doesn't panic when things don't go as planned. Why? Because she knows she's been through storms before, and she's always found a way to get through them. She trusts herself to weather whatever comes her way. But it's not just about survival, It's about thriving. A woman with no friends has the freedom to be fully herself. She doesn't have to fit into anyone else's mold or dim her light to make others comfortable. She doesn't need to explain her choices or compromise her values just to maintain relationships. She can stand tall in her truth, knowing that she is enough, exactly as she is. And let me tell you, that kind of independence is powerful, because when you've got your own back, you're not afraid to take risks. You're not afraid to dream big, to go after what you want, or to walk away from what doesn't serve you. You're not afraid to stand alone, because you've already proven to yourself that you can. So if you ever feel like you're walking this journey alone, remember this: you're not alone. You've got yourself. And that is more than enough. Being a woman with no friends doesn't mean you're without strength. It means you've discovered the most reliable person you'll ever know, you. And that is a foundation no one can shake. Guard your circle like your life depends on it, because it truly does. The people you allow into your life have a profound impact on the person you become. Their energy, their words, their actions, they all leave a mark on you, whether you realize it or not. If you're not careful, the wrong influences can drain your spirit, dim your light, and steer you away from your purpose. That's why it's so important to be intentional about who you let close to you. You see, not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay. Some people are distractions, some are obstacles, and some are lessons. But the ones who truly belong in your circle, the ones who deserve a seat at your table, are the ones who add to your life, not take away from it. They're the ones who challenge you to be better, who support you when you're down, and who celebrate your wins without an ounce of jealousy. They're the ones who see your potential and encourage you to reach for it, even when you can't see it yourself. But here's the truth: people like that are rare, and you won't find them if your circle is cluttered with the wrong kind of people. That's why you have to guard it so fiercely. You have to protect your peace, your energy, and your dreams, because not everyone has your best interests at heart. Some people will smile in your face while secretly hoping you fail. Some will take and take without ever giving anything in return. Some will try to hold you back because your growth makes them uncomfortable. So you have to ask yourself, who's in my circle? Are they building me up or tearing me down? Are they helping me grow, or are they keeping me stagnant? Are they pushing me closer to my goals, or are they pulling me further away? These are hard questions, but they're necessary ones, because your circle isn't just about friendship, it's about your future. The people around you influence how you think, how you feel, and how you act. They shape your mindset, your habits, and your beliefs. If you surround yourself with people who are negative, lazy, or small-minded, it's only a matter of time before their energy rubs off on you. But if you surround yourself with people who are positive, driven, and ambitious, they'll inspire you to rise to their level. They'll push you to dream bigger, work harder, and become the best version of yourself. That's why guarding your circle is not just important, it's essential. It's not about people out being selfish. It's about being selective. It's about valuing your time and your energy enough to invest it in the right people. It's about recognizing you deserve to have a circle that supports you, uplifts you, and reflects the kind of life you want. So don't be afraid to set boundaries. Don't be afraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. Don't be afraid to walk alone for a while if that's what it takes to protect your peace, because when you guard your circle, you're not just protecting yourself in the moment, you're protecting your future. And that is something worth fighting for. Your value is not measured by your connections, but by your character. In a world that often glorifies social networks, followers, and the size of your circle, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that your worth is tied to how many people you know or how many people claim to know you. But let me tell you something. True value has nothing to do with the number of hands you've shaken or the number of names in your contact list. It has everything to do with the kind of person you are when no one else is watching. Connections are fleeting. They can be shallow, temporary, and transactional. People can come into your life for all sorts of reasons, some good, some not so good. But your character, that's what defines you. It's the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. It's how you treat people when you have nothing to gain. It's how you respond when life tests you, when the odds are stacked against you, and when the easy path would be to compromise your principles. Your character is what speaks for you when you're not in the room. It's not about what you can offer someone or how useful you are to their plans. It's about your integrity, your honesty, and your commitment to doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when no one's looking. Connections may open doors, but your character is what determines whether you have the strength, wisdom, and grace to walk through them and stay there. Society often measures success by external markers: how many friends you have, how well connected you are, how often your phone lights up with calls and messages. But none of those things truly define you, because popularity can fade, people can change, circumstances can shift in an instant. What remains constant is your character, your core values, your ethics, your sense of self. Think about it. Would you rather be surrounded by 100 people who only care about what you can do for them, or stand alone with the knowledge that you've stayed true to yourself? Would you trade your principles for connections if it meant losing the very essence of who you are? The truth is, character isn't just a measure of your strength. It's a reflection of your soul. It's what determines how you sleep at night, how you feel when you look in the mirror, and the legacy leave behind. People may remember your name, but what they'll truly remember is how you made them feel. Were you kind? Were you fair? Did you live a life of integrity? These are the things that matter in the end, far more than any title, status, or connection ever could. Because the greatest achievements in life are not measured by the people you know, but by the impact you have on the world around you. Now So don't chase connections for the sake of validation. Don't measure your worth by the size of your circle or the attention you receive from others. Instead, focus on building your character. Be the kind of person who stands firm in their values, who treats others with respect, and who walks through life with humility and grace. Because when all is said and done, it's not the quantity of your connections that will define your legacy. It's the quality of your character. That is where your true value lies, and that is what will stand the test of time. Be a friend to yourself first. In life, we often put so much energy into building relationships with others that we forget the most important relationship we'll ever have is the one we have with ourselves. Think about it. How can you expect to truly connect with others if you haven't learned to connect with yourself? How can you give love, understanding, and kindness to the world if you've never given those things to yourself? Being a friend to yourself isn't just important, it's essential. It's the foundation upon which every other relationship in your life is built. What does it mean to be a friend to yourself? It means learning to speak to yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you'd offer to someone you care about. Too often, we're our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up for mistakes, we dwell on our shortcomings, and we hold ourselves to impossible standards. But if a friend came to you feeling defeated, would you criticize them? Would you point out all their flaws and remind them of every time they failed? Of course not. You'd encourage them. You'd remind them of their worth. You'd tell them it's okay to stumble as long as they keep moving forward. So why not do the same for yourself? Being a friend to yourself means being patient with your own journey. It means understanding that growth takes time and that healing is not a linear process. It means forgiving yourself for the times you've fallen short and recognizing that those moments don't define you. They're just part of the story. It's about treating yourself with the same grace you so easily give to others. It also means prioritizing your own needs. A true friend looks out for your well-being, and being a friend to yourself means doing the same. It's about setting boundaries, knowing when to say no, and making time for rest and self-care. It's about listening to your own intuition and honoring what feels right for you, even if it means disappointing others. Because at the end of the day, no one else is going to advocate for your happiness and health the way you can. When you're a friend to yourself, you create a sense of security within. You don't feel the constant need for external validation because you've already learned to validate yourself. You don't rely on others to fill emotional voids because you've learned how to fill them on your own. This doesn't mean you don't need or value relationships with others. It means you approach them from a place of wholeness. You don't seek connection out of desperation. You seek it out of a desire to share the fullness of who you are. Being your own friend also means celebrating yourself. It's easy to downplay your achievements, to tell yourself they're not a big deal or that anyone could have done it. But would you do that to a friend? No. You'd celebrate their wins, big and small. You'd cheer them on and remind them of how far they've come. So do the same for yourself. Take time to acknowledge your progress. Be proud of your efforts. Remind yourself that you are worthy of joy and success. The truth is, when you learn to be a friend to yourself, you become unstoppable. You build an unshakable foundation of self-love and resilience. You become less dependent on the opinions and approval of others because you've already given yourself the love and support you need. And that kind of inner strength radiates outward. It draws the right people into your life. People who will treat you with the same respect and care that you've learned to give yourself. And that's what helps us here at Kilnberg. So be a friend to yourself first. Show up for yourself the way you show up for others. Love yourself the way you want to be loved. Encourage yourself the way you encourage those you care about. Because when you learn to be your own best friend, you create a life filled with peace, purpose, and genuine connection. It all starts with you. So, to the woman walking alone, hold your head high. You are not defined by the number of friends you have, but by the fire in your soul and the strength in your stride. This journey isn't about who walks with you. It's about the path you choose and the legacy you leave behind. Walk in power, walk in purpose, and never forget, you're never truly alone when you got yourself.